Those who can, please rise. And Councilman Becky Ehlers will lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come here together this evening. Guide and direct this council on making reasonable and responsible decisions that benefit the citizens of this community. Amen.
Amen.
Teresa, when you're ready, if you would call roll.
Ehlers,
Here.
Dorman,
Here.
Young,
Here.
Evans,
Here.
Meadows,
Here.
Beach,
Here.
Hurt,
Here.
Livingston.
Here.
Okay. Hearing of citizens' comments. At this time, it is a time when you are allowed to come forward to the podium, state your name, and you have 5 minutes in which to make a public comment. And we do have a listed person, Danielle Gerhardt from Cooper County Memorial Hospital, and we ask that you come first, please.
Thank you. Danny Gerhardt, CEO at Cooper County Memorial Hospital. Here tonight to give the council an update on our progress with our surgery department since our last conversation. We have officially opened our surgery unit as of March, did our first surgery at the very end. Numbers are tracking with early projections, so that is moving forward. I'm happy to report that as of last month's financials, we are essentially breaking even, which is about a $1.1 million improvement over prior year's financial performance. So, and much appreciation of the support for the surgery department. I would like to add that the organization has prepared a token of our appreciation and present the City Council with a thank you for your generous donation to get the program up and going. I also wanted to add a few other accomplishments, which you've all been handed a sheet, just bullet pointing those. In one addition to the surgery program, we initially came with 3 specialties. We were able to add a 4th specialty of cataracts. We had a large outcry from the community asking for that particular service, and we were able to partner with the local optometrist to recruit Dr. Nizam to do cataracts, so that is up and going as well. In addition, month of June, we started infusion therapies for patients that have inflammatory diseases such as arthritis, Crohn's disease, any infections that they would need infusions. Those are meeting early projections also. So we're excited with the progress that we're making. We're wanting to make safe growth, and it, for all intents and purposes, is where we're going. In addition, we have also brought in-house our emergency providers. Instead of contracting that service out to providers, we have hired in, so we now employ our physicians and nurse practitioners. We've brought in a new radiology group, and we are picking up market share due to the quick service. The turnaround is much shorter, 30 minutes on average, actually technically 20 minutes, which we're finding our providers in the region are appreciating and starting to send some of those patients to us. That's good. You'll also notice we're doing some rebranding. This month, we're going to have a new website. We are now touching base with social media, and we also had our partnered with the YMCA for the Healthy Kids Day event. We had well over 250 kids in participation, and great feedback from that particular event. Finally, two additional things that I wanted to mention is that today was the first day for Dr. Nathan Graneman, new physician that we recruited to town. His specialty is family practice with a specialty of sports medicine. Very excited to have him and his family join the Boonville area community. And then in addition, we have also partnered with the Community Foundation and developed a CCMH Foundation to help funnel donations to the organization. We have created an endowment to help with the capital improvements down the road, and we currently have about $15,000 already that was given to that particular endowment. So,
That's all good news.
it is.
Very good. And am I correct, Dr. Nathan Graneman? Did he live here in Boonville as a child? Did he grow up here? I'm thinking that
He
name.
grew up in the Fayette area. He has a lot of family.
Okay.
His cousin, Melinda Hart, is a nurse practitioner that joined us in November and has a lot of family in the health field also.
Okay. I was thinking he was in Cub Scouts with one of my sons, so it's nice when they come back and provide service to our community. Any other comments?
Nice work.
Yes, very good work.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work. The team's worked hard.
Is this your new logo?
It is.
Okay, that's nice.
We've partnered with the Boonville Daily News to help us with our marketing efforts and been very pleased.
Good, that's nice.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll open it up to the public. Anyone that would like to make a statement, now's the time. And you do have 5 minutes. Start out with your name.
My name is Catherine Ward, and I'm the founder of ARFMO, a pit bull rescue based out of Fayette. I have rescued over 180 dogs in the past 5 years, and my rescue focuses on those dogs labeled as pit bulls and placed on death row at local dog pounds due to their looks alone. Once a dog is labeled as a pit bull, it is automatically considered to be vicious due to having a large head and stocky build. These dogs can only go to rescue or be killed. They are not allowed to be adopted out. I believe all dogs are individuals and should be treated as individuals. No dog should be given a death sentence because someone does not like the way the dog looks or is afraid of it because of its size. My rescue takes death row dogs and rehomes them with responsible families. I have a binder of some of the dogs I have rescued from your pound and rehomed. They are well adjusted and very loved on family members. The people that adopted these dogs are very opposed to pit bull bans, and they would never move to a town that has BSL. You're missing out on some great people. Chris, Linda, and I have worked closely with Megan and Earl to write a breed-neutral dangerous dog ordinance for Boonville with hopes of repealing the pit bull ban. We did a lot of research for this ordinance, and you should have been given this packet today. It was our mistaken understanding that you received it last January. We have done a lot of homework and research and ask that the City Council do the same. We beg you to pass the law based on facts, not fear. One council member has asked, why not keep BSL and hold owners responsible? Perhaps some people think that repealing BSL gives pit bulls a pass and allows them to be vicious. It does not. Your vicious dog ordinance covers all aggressive behavior, and pit bulls will be held to the same standard as any other dog. So what are the problems with pit bull bans? Breed-specific laws have never reduced incidents of dog bites. Laws that deem dogs dangerous based on breed or appearance rather than behavior fail to protect citizens from truly dangerous dogs. It does not address the real issues behind dog bites, as it focuses on the appearance of the dog rather than the responsibility of the owner. Megan said that your proposed ordinance focuses on husbandry issues that are known to contribute to aggression in dogs. This is where your focus should be rather than the size or appearance of the dog. There's a very important statistic out there that there are no incidents of a spayed or neutered indoor family pit bull ever having killed anyone. BSL is costly and difficult to enforce. Scarce resources are diverted to target the wrong dogs. What is a pit bull? I have a binder of DNA results of dogs that were on death row for being pit bulls. They are all mutts. Several do not have pit bull in them at all. Recent studies have shown that visual identification of mixed breed dogs is inaccurate. You're making life very difficult for Pam as she has to choose which dogs are pit bulls and then give that dog a death sentence. My Pick the Pit Bull poster clearly shows the problem with calling a dog a pit bull. These are all purebred dogs from breeder websites, and they are considered to be the best representations of that breed. Only one of the dogs is a pit bull. Can you pick which one it is? Every dog is considered to be a pit bull these days. BSL fails to reach reckless owners as they disregard the laws anyway. It punishes responsible family pet owners. I've had several grown men cry because they did not want to break the law and they had their beloved family pet put down because of a pit bull ban. It is illogical for friendly family pets to be placed on death row because someone does not like the appearance of the dog. The emotional cost to pet owners cannot be measured, but my phone rings every day from people asking for my help because their dog is being targeted. These are just a few of the problems associated with BSL. I believe that there are some concerns with the new addendum to the definition of a vicious animal. One is that Megan taught us not to use the word you're defining in your definition, and you have defined a vicious dog based on vicious propensities. This is confusing. We did learn. This is also very vague. By including size and physical characteristics, you're back to calling it a pit bull, but not including the words pit bull. There is no explanation of size or physical characteristics. What size dog?
Catherine, you have less than a minute.
Okay. Are the characteristics a big head, short fur, long tail, etc.? This is very vague and will probably keep Pam very busy. Since 1975, dogs belonging to more than 30 breeds have been responsible for fatal attacks on people, including Dachshunds, Yorkshire Terrier, and a Labrador Retriever. So in my opinion, the only physical characteristic that should matter is if the dog has teeth. Perhaps a better option would be to do what the American Veterinary Medical Association recommends, and that is to write laws that focus on husbandry practices of the owner rather than the physical appearance of the dog. I drive a VW Bug to commute to work. Since I drive a small car, I have an increased propensity for serious physical harm if I happen to be in a crash with a pickup truck or a SUV. Therefore, I would like all large vehicles to be banned from the road. Seems kind of silly, especially when we have freedom to choose in this country. I believe that freedom should also apply to whatever kind of dog I want to live with. And you are more likely to be killed by lightning than by a dog.
Did you sign the sign-in sheet?
I did sign in.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know this was kind of a repeat for some of you guys, but I understand you have new council members, so that's why I brought my stuff again. I'm more than happy to leave all my information with you if people want to keep it to look at it longer. And anybody want to make any guesses?
I'll take a number 12.
I'll take a number 12.
Two of them.
So number 12 is Rottweiler.
I'll take two of them.
I'm a large Coke.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. By the way,
And we did get the handout. Everyone, all council members did.
16.
We should have all gotten that right, because I think we took that test once.
yeah, you got that.
And I forgot the answer.
We can pass them around.
Start
I
off
need-
by stating your name. if you
Linda
would.
Grant, I'm with Saving Dogs of Missouri.
And have you signed the sign-in sheet?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
signed in.
Thank you.
I need to ask, how many own a dog? Okay, all righty. Well, I left some enclosures. One is a letter that's going to be emailed to you if it hasn't already been, from Great Plains SPCA. They do over 35,000 dogs a year out of 2014. She had sent the information. There's also another there from Dr. McVicker, says BSL does not work. It's worthless. And also, there's a picture there of a dog called Say Phineas, and I'm just going to reiterate what can happen if you have such a wide range, what can happen to a dog and homeowners and stir up a situation.
Thank you for allowing me to speak again. My name, of course, is Linda Grant. My group is nonprofit Saving Dogs in Missouri, where we pull dogs out of kill shelters across Missouri. Enclosed also is a letter from Great Plains, the letter also from McVicker, which you have a copy, stating that BSL, known as breed-specific legislation, is unnecessary and does nothing for the city of Boonville. Without DNA, you can't prove the breed. And referring to pit bulls, what you see on the outside, purebred or mixed breed, does not determine how a dog will behave. Physical appearance alone cannot predict behavior or personality. A dog's entire physical appearance is determined with a very small amount of genetic material. For example, there are 19,000 genes made up in a canine, and as few as 6 genes can determine the dog's head. None of the genes associated with the head shape can influence behavior or personality. This was a case from Dr. Christopher Isri, and it went through the U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Washington in 2011. Experts agree that breed identification should not be used as a tool to determine if a dog is or is not dangerous. Each dog is an individual, and its physical and behavioral traits will be the result of multiple factors, including genetic, training, and handling and environment. This applies to purebred dogs as well. Rather than focus on breed, evaluate dogs based on present behavior. There is no scientific evidence that one breed or type of dog is more likely to injure a human than any other breed or type of dog. In regards to dangerous, vicious, and ferocious animals, A and B, what you state, already states attack, bite, injury, or death. My issue lies with the size, physical characteristics, and vicious propensities, which is capable of inflicting serious physical injury or death on a human being. But yet, that is an assumption, and that has not occurred, and you have already labeled the dog dangerous. Now, that's how I'm reading it. A lot of dogs on their own properties protect. They growl, they bark if someone approaches their property bounds, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the dog is vicious. An ACO or police cannot judge a dog, and this is from our experience, and we have saved, I think I told you last year, was over 1,157 dogs out of kill shelters, 5 members of our group. And you cannot judge a dog as vicious if he is out of his realm. We see many dogs in shelters and pounds who are scared, and once removed are completely different dogs. This language is damaging to all dogs if that's what you're referring to with size, which is very confusing, and still even singling out the bully breeds with the physical characteristics. We have provided the city with months of research, statistics, and proof, and yet apparently we're sorry that for some reason you all didn't get our handout. Browning Hardware is a good example. They have the German Shepherd that lays in there. If you all go there, I'm sure you have. And in the 80s, that was deemed the most vicious dog. Breed-specific ordinances, however, raise constitutional questions concerning dogs' owners' 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection. When a specific breed of a dog is selected from control, 2 constitutional questions are raised. First, because of all types of dog may inflict injury to people and property, ordinances addressing only one breed of dog appears to be under-inclusive and therefore violates owners' equal protection right. Also, because of identification of the dog's breed with the certainty necessary to impose sanctions on the dog owner is impossible, and such ordinances have been constitutionally vague, as above I see with C, and therefore violates due process. The Bar Association, which is made up of attorneys, in the packet states BSL is unconstitutional, and they are totally against BSL. When a dog is singled out in a compact of neighbors, you will find dogs like Say Phineas, and you see his picture, from Salem, Missouri, who the town insisted on killing him to set an example of what happened because he was accused of biting a child. They hid him for quite a while. He was found, the city did, An attorney was hired, they went to court, it took over 2 years, and they proved without a reasonable doubt that that dog never bit that child, and they had experts there. And
Linda,
so
your-
what did it do to that
Time is
case?
up, so you need to finish up.
Okay. So I ask you, what happens with size, physical characteristics with a dog impounded? And he says, she says, what will the outcome be of that dog if the truth is never known? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jenin Herbst. I'm winging this. I don't have things prepared like they do, so hopefully this goes okay. I'm from Columbia. We do not have BSL in Columbia. Last December, I was walking outside with my dog and my foster dog. Just taking him out. I live in an apartment. Taking him out to go to the bathroom, just like we do every single morning. No big deal. Next thing I know, we are attacked. I still to this day have nerve damage from the dog that attacked me right here on my arm. He attacked my foster dog and tore off part of his ear. And he attacked my dog, who has her face still torn up. He attacked her so bad, I did not know if I was going to get my dog out alive. That dog is my savior. When I got her, the day she came to my house was the day I found out my grandpa, who was the closest relative to me, was dying, like had less than a week to live. I wanted to kill myself, and she saved me from doing that. You know what my dog is? A pit bull, or what you would call a pit bull. She has no pit bull in her, but that's what she was labeled. My foster dog, he's labeled a pit bull. You know what the dog that attacked me is? A German Shepherd. So to ban pit bulls, there's no sense in it. Any dog can be aggressive. Any dog can attack. It's not the breed. It's how they're managed. It's how the owner takes care of them and trains them and works with them, and how their life is, or their, well, see, told you, it's gonna mess it up, how their life is. Do they live on a chain? They're probably gonna have a terrible life, and they're probably gonna be aggressive. Would you wanna live on a chain? Think about that. You've got a chain to your ankle all day. You're probably gonna wanna fight somebody, attack them, go after them. Are you abused? Yeah, you're probably going to be aggressive and want to fight somebody too, because you're being attacked every day. It's not because you were born with blonde hair or you were born a man. It's not what you were born. It's not that they were born pit bulls. It has nothing to do with that. It's how these dogs are managed. And that's any dog, whether it be a German Shepherd, a Chihuahua, which I'm scared to death of. I'm not going to lie. I am scared to death of Chihuahuas. Like, a pit bull, I will go right in its face. But a Chihuahua, I won't even hold it. So, banning them, it's ridiculous. It's like me banning you, sir. Sorry, you got a mustache. Nope, you cannot come in my town. Sorry. I really think that the focus on dogs should be more on their behavior and what they do, not how they were born. They can't help that. I mean, it needs to be, and really it needs to be more on the owner. It's not even the dog. The owner's the one that's shaping them. They aren't born to, and decide, oh, I'm going to do this. They can't make decisions like that. Dogs don't have that mindset. It's the owner. So the focus needs to be on what are we going to do to control these dogs and not make them vicious by working with those owners and making them accountable. Don't ban a certain breed. like I said, they didn't do anything. They were born, just like every single one of us. They just have 4, well, my dog has 3 legs, but, I mean, it's not their fault. Focus on other things. Sorry.
Your time's up.
Done.
That's all right. Jenna, did
Told
you,
you, just winging it.
you did a good job. Did you sign the?
I did. Yeah, right here.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Hello, my name's Linda Amsberry. I'm actually speaking on behalf of my husband, Chris Amsberry, who is having a slight medical condition right now. I want to discuss with you about fear versus fact. A big fear is pit bulls having lockjaw. We found that the American Pit Bull Terriers did not have any unique mechanism that would allow these dogs to lock their jaws. There are no mechanical or morphological differences. Another fear, pit bulls have massive biting power measuring in 1,000s of pounds of pressure per square inch. Fact, on average, dogs bite with 320 pounds of pressure per square inch. The bite pressure of a German Shepherd, an American Pit Bull Terrier, and a Rottweiler were tested. The American Pit Bull Terrier had the least amount of bite pressure of the 3 dogs tested. Fear, pit bulls attack without warning. Pit bulls signal like other dogs. The Institute of American Welfare and Behavior of the University of Veterinary Medicine, Hanover, Germany, temperament tested over 1,000 dogs. Fear, pit bulls are ticking time bombs that turn on their owners. Fact, attacks by family dogs of any breed or type are extremely rare and should not be confused with incident involving resident dogs. Resident dogs are maintained outside the home on chains in kennels or in yards and are obtained for negative functions: guarding, fighting, protection, indiscriminate, irresponsible breeding. Residents' dogs cannot be expected to inhibit the same behaviors as family dogs, which have been adored, and the opportunity to interact with humans on a daily basis and in positive, humane ways. There is no documented case that a single spayed, neutered American Pit Bull Terrier maintained exclusively as a household pet has been involved in a fatality in the United States. Fear. While there are some pit bulls with good temperament, they are the exception, not the rule. The American Pit Temperament Test shows pit bulls consistently score above the average for all breeds tested year in, year out. And that came from the American Temperament Test Society. I want to say for myself, here about 8 years ago, I was attacked by a dog. At the same time, my 2-year-old niece was attacked. The dog ripped the top of my niece's face and grabbed me by my leg and dragged me across the ground. And this dog was actually on a chain, had been on a chain. It was a neighbor's dog, and it was a coonhound. I've owned pit bulls all of my life and never once have had any kind of behavior problems. They've been the most loyal, most gentle dogs I've ever been around. There was a fear in my life at one time, but you just got to give them a chance. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Linda.
I will be very brief, and I will sign in when I'm finished. I have a puppy at my house.
Could you state your name for the record?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm Betsy Castile, and I am a volunteer with ARFMO, Pit Bull Rescue. I have also been involved in dog rescue for about 15 years with a variety of different rescues. But I have a puppy at my house who is one of a litter of 7, and because they were generic black mutts who were dumped in a field near Tipton, we had one of them DNA tested. The interesting thing about this is as this puppy is maturing, he is getting that somewhat muscular, stocky build. He's going to be a dog that could be labeled in a breed-specific town as a pit. The DNA test results were, number 1, Black Lab. Well, he's sure that. Number 2, American Staffordshire Terrier. Number 3, American Bulldog. Number 4, Welsh Corgi. Number 5, Flat-Coated Retriever. And number 6, Border Terrier, which is a little bitty mutt. So what does this prove? If he should happen to be moving to another town, well, when he's adopted, I will tell his adopter, and this is what we tell all of our adopters, don't register your dog with your veterinarian as a pit mix. Register him as a lab mix, or name any of these other breeds that you choose, but do not give him that curse. And that is an unfortunate thing to have to tell an adopter. I talk to the adopters about heartworm preventative and how important it is, flea tick preventative, socializing your puppy, getting it in some good training. I should not have to say, and don't register him to be what he may turn out to look like. Looks should not be the determining factor in any of this. My primary love in rescue is Cocker Spaniel rescue. I find that if I get a Cocker who is not already blind and 15 or 20 years old, I can place them in a heartbeat. I've had some marvelous, marvelous, marvelous diagnosed as pit bull dogs through my home. They're much more difficult to place. And why is that? Well, they can't live here. They can't live in Fayette. They can't live in the little town of Windsor, where I take a lot of dogs from their shelter. And that's just plain not fair. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Betsy. If you would please sign. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sherry Broyles. I'm from Ward 1. I used to be on the other side of this argument. I raised pit bulls. My family raised pit bulls. I know what a pit bull can do. I know that there are good ones. I do. I understand that. But I think what we are missing is the big picture here. The bottom line is they were bred to actually grab a hold of a bull and hold on. They catch feral hogs and they'll hold on. A bear, whatever. That's what they were raised for. And I raised them. And I've seen what they could do. I never really thought about ever having them in my home or my children around them. They tend to be unpredictable. Now, I get it. They're good ones. I've read all the stories, I get that. But, we have a responsibility here of hearing both sides. And I feel like that you all have just heard the little rascal side. And as lovely as that is, I'm afraid that's not the case. This is not a perfect world. I can find you a dogfight in southern Missouri, and probably in Howard County, and probably in Cooper County, probably any weekend. You'll drive by, and it'll look like a birthday party or a family reunion, and that's not what it is. And I went to Sedalia the other day because I was just curious as to what they have no bands there. And I could have brought you every one. I thought about doing it. I could have adopted everyone. I could have gotten 11 pit bulls. 6 one week, and the next week I want 5. And I asked, why do you have so many pit bulls? And he said, well, people get them to breed them. They think they're going to make some money. When we were breeding them, when we were selling, there weren't so many. There's more pit bulls than any other dog right now. I can go on Facebook and I can adopt you 4. I could have brought you 11. And I said, and so they put down 10% of the pit bulls that they get in, and then they do adopt out the rest. I don't know what the liability is, but they do adopt them out. But, I just think it's a risk. You're not going to know where this dog came from. And if you know how they fight pit bulls, you have a chain. You let people put them on chains. So ultimately, as a resident here, you could have somebody put 4 pit bulls on chains in the backyard. At a pit bull fight, they come in on a chain, and you drop the chain, and they hear the noise, and they know to attack. So if you happen to adopt a dog that has been fought, and you leave it on a chain in the backyard, little Susie comes along and trips the chain. That's not fun. That's horrible to think about, but unfortunately, that's the reality of it, not so much the little rascals. Hello. I feel like your job is to protect the public, not to rescue animals. In September 2015, the one thing I want to tell you about the pit bulls, And I know I've heard a bite is a bite so many times. They will not let go. People say they won't let go. And every victim has been bit by them will say they will not let go. And that's part of their DNA. It's like asking a fox terrier not to dig a hole or asking a pointer dog not to point. It's in there somewhere. And unfortunately, sometimes it can come out. So it's a scary thing. So in September of last year, an 80-year-old grandmother had a pit bull, and she had it for 5 years. It attacked her 22-month-old granddaughter. The neighbor stabbed it 7 times to get it to let go. That's what they said. It would not let go. I just think it's too much of a risk. I'm not saying that there aren't good pit bulls, but I really do ask you to consider both sides and think about this very carefully and think about if you can put the public at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
When I came in, I really didn't have an opinion.
Could you please
Oh, I'm
state
sorry.
your name
Liz
for the
Davis.
record?
You need the Ward 2?
Please.
Okay, Ward 2. When I came in, I really didn't have an opinion. I mean, I got an opinion, but that's irrelevant to, everybody's got an opinion. I've heard both sides. I'm a citizen of Boonville, been around dogs all my life. And I think there's only one thing you can honestly do to be fair to both sides. If everything presented tonight has been a fact and not an opinion, then there's only one thing you can do. Don't ban a pit bull. Make them do a DNA test and then decide. Short and sweet. You can't have it both ways. I mean, it's just, like I said, you can't tell by looks on anything. So maybe that's the answer to your regulation, is if it's the pit bull that's the bad ones, and this one you think is a pit bull, but like she said, they did all the DNA testing and it's not a pit bull, then just add the DNA testing and be done with it.
Thank you, Liz.
Hello, everyone. Wow, pit bulls, you got a lot to consider. That's why you paid the big bucks.
Could you please state your name?
I'm Mike Kelly, Ward 1. Good to
Thank
see
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
I'm here to talk about Bill 2015-21 as well. I understand that it includes changes to address dangerous dogs and reform what we currently have to address dangerous dogs. It also, I believe, repeals the pit bull ban. I disagree with the repealing part. I agree with the enforcement of dangerous dogs if we can improve on that. Clearly, most people killed by dogs are killed by large breed dogs. That's not to say smaller dogs are less likely to bite people. All breeds can bite, but death is more likely when being attacked by larger dogs. Statistics have been presented by both sides about the pit bull, actually mostly from one side on the pit bull ban. And more information could always be useful in making a decision. Although statistics can be debated, the ones I've seen, you can research it, you can ask what's the basis, you can say, well, did they do the ratios of the number of dogs in that area? You can go on and on. I'm not saying they're not valuable, they should be considered. But there is one thing that I believe is pretty clear, at least recently over the last couple of decades, and that is that pit bulls have been responsible for a large percentage of the deaths by dogs in the U.S. I can agree with some of the points made by the proponents for the pit bull ban to be repealed. Not all pit bulls are aggressive. Not all aggressive dogs are pit bulls. Owners should be responsible for their dogs. That's why I agree with enforcing the Dangerous Dog Act and also making it stronger if you can. However, on the issue of repealing the pit bulls, I have a few considerations. One is pit bulls can be an aggressive breed that is favored by some owners that want them to be aggressive. Pit bulls are responsible for a large percentage of the mauling, maiming, and fatal attacks on people and pets, yet they account for a relatively small percentage of the licensed breed registrations in the U.S. We're not the only city to prohibit them. 760 or so cities have prohibited them. 40 countries around the world have prohibited them. I disagree our ban condemns them to die. In Missouri, pit bulls are one of the most common breeds to be found at shelters, regardless whether the local city bans them or not. Like it or not, pit bulls are very popular with people in the drug trade who want their dogs to intimidate people. On the subject of breeds, specific legislation on other breeds, some people have argued that they're not the only aggressive dog. What if other dogs were included? Rottweilers, for example, have been high on the list recently. Kill list, that is. Before the 80s, as was mentioned earlier, German Shepherds led the pack on occasion. I have a German Shepherd. I know they can cause people to take caution when they see them. If the city added German Shepherds or any other breed, I assume you would do like you did for the pit bulls when we did in 1997. You grandfathered them. So that would give me the option to live with my pit bull until he dies and not to replace him with whatever, my German Shepherd with whatever, and not replace him at the end of that time and still live in the city. On the idea of reactive versus proactive policy, most animal control ordinances are reactive. Reactive ordinances don't necessarily prevent someone from being maimed or being killed. I understand it. It's a question of not knowing what's going to happen. There are proactive policies, such as sterilizing, limiting the number of large dogs per household, or requiring all dogs to complete a temperament test, as was mentioned earlier. Some of these proactive measures would require extra expense at the owner's expense or the city and may not be reasonable for our city. Another example of a proactive policy is breed-specific legislation. Like it or not, some dogs are not aggressive in those breeds, but it is a proactive measure. It does reduce the number of that breed. I understand Chief Welliver and his police officers have had a difficulty enforcing this law. Fireworks could maim or kill people. As last weekend showed, they're still being used in the city even though they're prohibited. It's difficult to enforce. Should we get rid of that law? Speeding kills. We have speeding laws in our city. Difficult to enforce every hour of the day all over the city. Should we get rid of those speeding laws in some places in the city? Other laws that don't kill or maim or whatever, or parking violations, noise nuisances, we have a lot of those too that are difficult to enforce, littering. But should we get rid of them because they're difficult to enforce? Enforcement is not the reason to get rid of something. It may be a factor in how you can best enforce a particular law, but it shouldn't be a reason to get rid of it. As far as applicability to Boonville, you've heard from proponents repealing our city's ban. They brought you information and recommendation. That's fine. We should welcome those inputs from outside our city. However, it's up to you to listen to your constituents. I know that you know your job. So you have those 2 weeks ahead of you to listen to your constituents. I've talked to a lot of them. I've heard a lot of opinions about this. Most of them are agreeing with me tonight on what I say. However, you need to hear from them and see what you think and consider from your own constituents. I know that in Ward 1, Ward 2, our backyards are pretty close to other backyards. I'm a little concerned about the way it could go with pit bulls. Therefore, my bottom line, I don't support rescinding the pit bull ban. I understand all the reasoning given by those who support eliminating the ban, but I think you need to consider what's right for Boonville, not elsewhere. I say strengthen the ordinance, but keep the pit bull ban. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments? Last chance. We will move along then to approval of the minutes of the June 5th. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I will sign this. My name is Karen Shams. I'm from Ashland, Missouri. We have this band also. I am a member of ARF. I was not going to say anything, but this meeting has really got me a little upset. The most dangerous dog out there, I don't care if it's a rat terrier, a pit bull, a German Shepherd, a Rottweiler, is a chained dog. They are dangerous dogs. You need to spend your time and your money
teaching people how to take care of their dogs, not banning dogs. The dog is not the problem. It's the way we treat them. And on the way here, I called my mom. She's 89 years old. And I told her what I was coming to do. She could not believe it. She said, there really are places that ban pit bulls? And I told her, yeah, Ma, there is. She lives in Wisconsin. I can't tell you exactly what she said, but the bottom line is shame on you. And shame on you for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, now we will move along to approval of the minutes of the June 15th, 2015 council meeting. You have those in your packet and have had a chance to look over theirs. Are there any additions or corrections to those as given? Hearing none, they will stand as presented. Consent items, we have a couple. A pay request number 1 from Concrete Solution in the amount of $33,800 for Locust Street and Kemper Drive repairs, and a change order number 1 from Concrete Solution in the amount of $3,288 for Locust Street and Kemper Drive repairs. Mark?
Mayor, I move we approve the consent items tonight.
Okay, do I have a second? Ned?
Second?
Questions or comments on those? Earl, did you have any comments you want to make?
No, I don't.
Okay. Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes?
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans. Yes. Meadows.
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Presentation of accounts and claims. Teresa, when you're ready, if you could share that.
Ordinance appropriating money. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the City of Boonville which have been allowed by the Council at the regular meeting thereof on July 6, 2015, the sum of $700,315.01. General Fund, $307,420.10. Sanitation, $30,548.98. CIP tax, $12,958.44. Waterworks, $121,365.94. Capital projects, $67,294.33. Wastewater, $66,420.52. Tourism, $10,687.39. Gaming, $83,619.31. Parks and Water, $0.00. Section 2. The bookkeeper is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on the respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $700,315.01, being the total amount of money above appropriated. Section 3. This ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage, first reading on July 6, 2015, read for the second time this 6th day of July 2015, since the copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mark?
Mayor, I move we approve this ordinance.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Becky? Thank you. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes?
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Unfinished business, item A, third reading of bill number 2015-016, requesting voluntary annexation and zoning of approximately 311 acres owned by Arthur Henry Properties LLC at the northeast corner of Highway 87 and I-70.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, annexing certain contiguous territory at the northeast corner of Highway 87 and Interstate 70, commonly known as Hale Ridge Golf Course, and Arthur Henry Properties LLC into the City of Boonville, Missouri, providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Mark?
Mayor, I move we approve bill number 2015-016 finally.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Vanessa? Any questions or comments?
Mayor, we
Megan?
have received no objections following the public hearing, and we have a verbal agreement with the Cooper County Fire Protection District. I sent them a draft agreement of our cooperative issues there that were in the plan of intent, and so that agreement should be appropriate and proper from their perspective, and would come back to this body for final approval if the annexation is passed.
Okay, very good. Any questions? Roll call.
Ayers,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Beach,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Livingston.
Yes.
Thank you very much. New business, item A, first reading bill number 2015-022, approving memorandum of agreement with the EPA and the Missouri State Historic Preservation for stipulations and measures to mitigate demolition of the Kemper Campus Administration Building.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving a memorandum of agreement as an invited signatory with the Environmental Protection Agency and the Missouri State Historic Preservation Office for the stipulations and measures to mitigate the demolition of the administration building on the former Kemper Military Academy campus, Boonville, Missouri, providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Okay. Item B, first reading of bill number 2015-019, establishing disclosure of potential conflicts of interest.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri to establish a procedure to disclose potential conflicts of interest and substantial interests for certain municipal officials.
Item C, first reading of bill number 2015-021, amending Chapter 4, Animals and Fowls.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending Chapter 4, Animals and Fowl of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances, providing an effective date therefore and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Mayor,
Yes.
just as a highlight to the council and the community, we did have a work session at the last meeting, and following that work session and in relationship to some of the public discourse that has been going on in the community, there are a couple things that I added since that work session, and those are in bold. And the specific issues are a couple of changes under the definitions on page 26 of the packet, that there's an exception of the leashing ordinance for dogs that are participating in the city dog park. There is an addition under the dangerous, vicious, and ferocious animal definition that adds a size, physical characteristic, and vicious propensities issue. If all three of those things come together with the capability of inflicting serious physical injury or death on a human being, that definition was added as a possible assurance from the folks on the council and the community that have the issue that really kind of goes to Mike Kelly's dissertation this evening. So that's an added one. That does appear in that exact wording in a couple other communities that don't have BSL but have another definition, kind of a layer there, that does put that level of responsibility on top of a dog owner who does have a larger animal, has certain physical characteristics, meaning large, whatever those things may be that would cause a animal to have that ability to inflict serious physical injury, as well as vicious propensities. And I left that kind of vague for the very purpose of discussion. We need to talk about what that is, and they absolutely picked up correctly on that. If that's going to be an addition to our ordinance, we need to make sure that we all as a community understand what that means. So it probably needs some further discussion, but I wanted to put it in there just exactly like a couple other communities had it for purposes of that discussion. So that's out there as a potential amendment to this ordinance. The article number 2 under owner responsibility, section B, registration on page 27. We all talked about the need for a licensing, and it doesn't really appear from anybody's vantage point that the licensing was really the issue, more the registration, to make sure that we've got animals that are tracked, that are voluntarily registered if the owner wants them to be, and particularly in terms of diagnosis and making sure we've got rabies controlled within the community. So we wrote it up from that perspective, that it's a voluntary registry. And there, we do have a couple opportunities within the community to try to implement this. We're not doing this as we speak today, but through a computerized tracking system, we probably have the ability to do this in an effective and efficient way. On page 28, under section D, just a minor change there. Pam requested I change that from age 6 months to age 4 months. We did add in under section F on page 29, under the certain animals prohibited in the city, not only any animal having poisonous bites, but also all constrictors. And then on page 31, this is an area we very much struggle with in this community. Right now, we have absolutely no regulations on tethering or chaining of dogs. We have none. So you could have your dog changed 24/7, and it's not against the law in Boonville currently. So we wanted to address the issue. Through all the information that you review, talk to people about, talk to veterinaries, professionals in the animal arena, they all say that animals tethered are at risk for behavioral issues and problems. So we're concerned about it. We're not quite sure how far to go with it. So we've made an attempt, all right? And from the discussion that was here at the work session, most folks thought that the 12 hours was too much. That was pulled a sample from several other communities. So I threw it out there at 9, all right? And my only rationale, frankly, was that we do have some folks that during work need their animals outside or want to have exercise or whatever. So it kind of gives that work crowd the opportunity to put their animal out. It still does not allow that animal to be tethered without appropriate amenities, shelter, food, water, and those kind of things. So it's not like you can just put the animal on a chain and leave them out there for 9 hours. I think this is one of those issues that the council agrees to these ordinances that something that we monitor and we look at. And Pam would like this opportunity to at least do something. I'm not sure in the exact right set of rules, but this is better than what we have now. It might not be perfect, but I think if we put it in, we monitor it and see how well it works. Also on page 33, Pam asked me to put back in the specific regulations of confining a female dog or cat while they're in season. That inadvertently got left out. That was my mistake. Also on page 33, we talked quite a little bit about administrative fees for impound and daily costs. And researching that, we do have an administrative fee schedule, and I think that just needs to be moved to that schedule so it's more easily updatable. And that's also in the reading for this evening as a first reading. So we did bring those costs more in line with what other shelters are and with the actual costs incurred by our animal shelter. I believe that's it for the changes since the work session.
Thank you, Megan. Item D, first reading of bill number 2015-018, amending the schedule of administration fees to include the addition of animal control fees.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri, amending the schedule of administrative fees, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Item E, first reading of Bill 2015-020, approving local agency funding contracts for fiscal year 2015-16.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving local agency funding contracts for services, providing an effective date therefore, and repealing all ordinances in conflict with this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. You're welcome. Reports of standing committees. Boonville Housing Authority, Mark?
Yes, I was able to attend. That committee and group seems like a well-run group. It may help that their attendance is high because they feed you at lunch, so, but.
Okay. Fire Board, Kari?
Yeah, I'm sorry I was not able to attend. The minutes are in your packet. Looks like they did finish your fog inspections, right, Tim? Yes. Any questions? The minutes are in the packet.
Industrial Development Authority, Mark?
Yes.
And the MFA?
And the MFA. I was able to attend those. You know, I would recommend that, you know, the rest of the council attend occasionally. You get really great graphs and pictures from Jim Gann. So, you know, if you want to be amazed of how the flow chart works, he does that. So,
It sounds interesting.
it is. I'll be glad to entertain any questions, but it's fairly normal. Talked about the hay bid, covering the property tax, and those kinds of things. So,
Okay.
and the MFA, not a lot was happening. They, you know, the assessment had changed a little bit, but those of you that have some farm ground, I think you all got some change in assessment. So, any questions?
Board of Public Works, Becky?
I was able to attend. The meetings are in your packet. It was not a lengthy meeting, but an interesting one.
Okay. Reports of city officials, Earl?
Yes, just an update on one thing. I think the last meeting I mentioned about some progress on the Second Street corridor property between Spring and, what was it, Vine? And we continue to move along on that pretty well, probably maybe down to one item, which is really on our side of the ledger. And if we're able to get that cleaned up in the next week, which we think we will, the guy with the railroad that we were introduced to is remaining interested. So I'm going to bring an ordinance at the next meeting. We may have to do 2 readings in one night. It's basically, I have the purchasing authority, but I don't have the authority to transfer real property, selling or purchasing. So it'll be for that little piece of the pie. But hopefully we're able to keep everybody interested and get it done and be done with the railroad.
Okay, very good. Mayor, I have nothing. City Councilor, Megan?
Nothing further this evening.
Economic Development. Jim doesn't have any handouts with him, gosh, that I can see.
I do not.
Okay.
However, you have the packet. It begins on page 53. I'll keep my comments a little brief tonight, but on item number 1, yes, we've had charts and graphs. Yes, they use colors. But what the IDA and the MFA has been working diligently on is bringing some form and structure to how we do economic development. We're trying to bring a process to what we want to do and create not only, as I said, a process of how we want to go about things, but also to create a decision matrix of when to apply the programs that we have and when not to apply. And the road we're headed down is to give you documents in the future that you would endorse and give us comment on that would give us a framework to operate within. So there have been a lot of pictures, a lot of process things, and those will be forthcoming to you at some point. The other big item that we're working on related to that are some learnings that we've had that are related to that is under item 2, I had the opportunity to attend an event called Lakeside with the Locators, where I got to personally meet with 7 site selection consultants. I thought I might brief you on these 7 points really quickly. There are some things that are happening in the world of economic development on a larger scale than just our local community. And these are coming from a dialogue that occurred between the 7 site selection consultants and our legislators. So there were a number of legislators that attended this roundtable discussion, and there was a free exchange of information. So the first is the effect of right to work. What I might also tell you is the site selection consultants, they are in the business of helping companies do locations into the state of Missouri for economic development purposes. They were geographically dispersed from across the United States. So the question about right to work came up. One site selection consultant went as high as 70%, but the lowest was 50%. So I'll say around 60% of the projects that occur on a nationwide basis, Missouri never sees because we're not a right to work state. That is their words, not mine. I'm not advocating. I'm just telling you that that was their opinion. So of the projects that come through that are brought to Missouri, about 90% are going to the urban areas, which leaves about 10% for the outstate of Missouri. So I just wanted to give you that as kind of a scale of things. Their feedback on Missouri's headcount incentives, which means incentives that are based upon job creation, they were very positive about. They were very, say Missouri is very competitive. That's called the Missouri Works program, for those of you that may have heard of it. But they were critical of Missouri in that Missouri does not have a program for investment, doing capital investment. So in their opinion, what's happening in Missouri is that there's no incentive for a company to retool within the state. There's no program to assist with that. Therefore, they believe that the companies that continue to stay here will be technologically behind at some point in the future and will move to a state where they do get incentives for relocation. So they were very cautious about Missouri's public policy in doing capital investment. Chapter 100 is a method that we have to do property tax abatement. They were highly critical of that. It's can be a very burdensome process. They talked with the legislators a great deal on the process leading to a request for information, which is the mechanics by which we respond to inquiries. They do a bunch of desk work to find the most likely communities long before we as a community ever see that. The interesting thing is that once we receive a request for information, that's almost the exclusive document that they go by when they're making their decisions. They don't look at our websites, they don't look at our videos, they don't look at Location One information services. They're relying on the information that we give them back after they've requested it. So we found that very interesting, or I found that very interesting. So item 6 there is that those are rarely used. I'm not saying they don't have a purpose, rarely used by site selection consultants. And then the last thing they touched on was minimum wages. They're seeing a huge uptick in activity of companies wanting to relocate out of California, largely because minimum wage law changes. And so they were quick to point out that there are efforts underway in Kansas City and St. Louis to raise the local minimum wage in those cities to $15 an hour. So that's just kind of as an aside. That was just a topic that they brought up. The only other item that I'll highlight for you tonight is item 5A, is that a growing area of entrepreneurship is around food ideas. I mean, we know the people in the community that have done barbecue sauces and dressings and those kinds of things, and those have to be prepared even in small batches in a commercial inspected kitchen. The Concerned Citizens for a Better Community now have kitchen that has been inspected and would be available for that use. So that's a resource for any food entrepreneurs in the community. Otherwise, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Go ahead, Ned.
You said at the meeting, the 7 site selection consultants, that there were also some state officials that attended.
Correct.
Did they do any commentary on right to work or Chapter 100 or minimum wages, or did they just basically just listen?
Oh, no, it was a free exchange of comments. And it was not necessarily logically sequenced in the discussion. I would say the bulk of the state representatives and senators that were there were supportive of the right to work legislation. And so it was music to their ears. There was not so much a critical ear in the crowd regarding that standpoint. So there was a sense that, yes, we agree, we're doing the best we can, kind of.
It was a good politician statement.
Well, it was what it was.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I'm just glad that they were there to hear it.
They were.
Oftentimes, we don't hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. City Clerk, Teresa?
I don't have anything this evening.
Building Inspector had a report. Do you have anything to highlight, or? No. Looks like you were busy. You have several pages. Okay. Miscellaneous. Anyone have any miscellaneous this evening? No miscellaneous, Ned?
Well, I did, but I stepped over it.
You've been busy. No miscellaneous?
Nope.
Okay. We will, do I hear a motion to go into closed session RSMO 610.021 for real estate purposes?
So moved.
Ned moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Becky seconds. Roll call.
Ehlers,
Yes.
Dorman,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Beach.
Yes.
Hurt.